Hey guys, welcome back to Fantasy Tip. Julian here for another weekend ads episode. This is an episode where I tell you which guys you should consider picking up that play 2 games this weekend that can help you maybe catch up and win your fantasy week, or to make sure that you maintain your lead in order to ensure your victory this week. Before we jump into it, guys, please leave a like and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you do want to take your support to the next level, you can definitely check out the link below to my Patreon. There are some pretty nice perks like being able to chat with me one-on-one via message over Patreon. So let's take a look at the schedule for this weekend, guys. And as you can see, on Friday there are 6 games, Saturday there are 12, and Sunday there are 5. So while there are less games Friday and Sunday, I suggest that you go ahead and take a look at your team and see what days you have room, because maybe you will have room on Saturday anyway. No matter what you have room for, I'm covering it for you. I cover players that play Friday, Saturday, Friday, Sunday, and then Saturday, Sunday. So you have kind of a little bit of a variety of everything, and you can decide which player is the best for you to pick up for your specific situation. Now, if you do want to pick up a player for Friday and Saturday, there are 6 teams that play both Friday and Saturday. Buffalo, Carolina, Calgary, Philadelphia, Toronto, and Washington are the teams that you're going to be wanting to add players from if you do need someone that plays Friday and Saturday. If you do need specific options, Tom Wilson would probably be the #1 guy that I would go for here, because he is hitting a lot, putting up points once again, and is just a very, very safe option overall, especially if you have hits in your league. Next guy I would go for is Sean Couturier, playing on the top line Philly. Top power play, although he didn't play top power play last game, although I'm not too worried. They lost to San Jose, so they're obviously not going to keep Couturier off the top power play. And I think they were honestly just, easing him back into it after his couple games he missed. Jesperi Kotkaniemi's been pretty good this year. He's their second line center in Carolina. He'd be the 3rd guy I would go for if you have room for a center. Cam Atkinson, top line, top power play, been very good this year, been scoring goals. Michael Bunting and Teuvo Teravainen. Bunting's now on the 3rd line, so not super ideal, but he's still been pretty decent this year. And Teuvo Teravainen is on the 2nd line and top power play. Slowed down a little bit. He's been very, very streaky, but definitely if you catch him on a couple of good nights, you're going to be thanking your lucky stars that you picked him up. Joel Farabee, someone who's been sneaky good all year, been putting up pretty much a point every game, playing 2nd line and 2nd power play in Philly, and has been pretty decent. Dylan Strome of the Washington Capitals is playing top line, top power play with Alexander Ovechkin for both. Definitely not a bad deployment for him. Nazem Kadri is centering the 2nd line in Calgary with Zary and Sharangovich. He's playing a little bit better as of late, so definitely not a terrible streamer for the 2 days. Casey Middlestat is someone who's getting top 6 minutes in Buffalo. He's currently playing on a line with Peterka and Greenway, which is not super ideal, but definitely still has some value if you need a streamer. Definitely could score a point or 2 over 2 games. Owen Tippett has been a lot hotter as of late, been shooting the puck a lot more, gives you a little bit of a safe floor, and definitely could put up points playing on Philadelphia's top line. Then I have Matthew Knies of the Toronto Maple Leafs, playing on the top line with Matthews and Marner. And he is producing. Looked really, really good in that first game that he played. It's the only one I've seen so far, because I am recording this on Wednesday night before the game start. Got a goal and 2 assists, and that's a great deployment for him. So definitely don't mind picking him up. Could be a really, really good streamer for those 2 nights. And honestly, could even be higher than I ranked him here. It could be a top 3 streamer potentially at the peak. Jonathan Huberdeau is the next guy I would go for, playing on the top line with Elias Lindholm. And he has not been very good this year, but honestly, guys, you're looking for a floor here, and Huberdeau definitely could put up a point or 2 over 2 games. Then Evgeny Kuznetsov centering the 2nd line with Milano and Oshie, which is an okay line, but also is getting top power play time, and he hasn't been too bad, so he's the next guy I would go for. And Bobby Brink playing 3rd line, but top power play in Philadelphia, which is an interesting deployment for him, so something I'm definitely liking for him. Not a terrible ad there. And JJ Peterka, who's playing currently on that 2nd line with Casey Middlestat, as I just said, and he's actually been pretty hot lately, so I don't mind that. Then Connor Zary, who is playing on that 2nd line with Kadri, and over 2 games he's got 2 points, so definitely a good start to his NHL career. Michael Backlund is the 3rd line center in Calgary. Honestly, nobody in Calgary is super enticing to me, but Backlund is decent as their 3rd line center and is pretty safe. Andrew Mangiapane is suspended when I'm recording this, but he will be back for this weekend and will probably have a top 6 role. So that's a decent streamer as well. Then Yegor Sharangovich is also playing on that second line with Nazem Kadri and Zeri, who are both doing pretty decently as of late. So not a terrible ad. And then Stefan Nason, who for some reason is on the top line right now with Sebastian Aho. And when normally he's a 4th line guy, but you know what? He's there, so definitely not a terrible option to be streaming right now. If you need a player for Friday and Sunday, there are 4 teams that play both Friday and Sunday. Anaheim, Florida, Minnesota, San Jose. Those are the teams that you're going to be looking at. And I know a lot of you guys watching this video are probably looking for a guy playing Friday and Sunday because they are the much less busy nights than Saturday. Number one guy I would go out and grab is Troy Terry of the Anaheim Ducks. Has heated up as of late. Top line, top power play, is probably their best player overall, or at least their best forward overall. So definitely like me some Troy Terry for this weekend. Marco Rossi has a really good deployment right now, top line with Kaprizov, as well as that top power play spot. So the dude's got something to prove here, and he's going to prove why he was a top 10 pick. I'm sure he can be very electric in your lineup this weekend. Ryan Hartman getting second line deployment right now in Minnesota. Not top power play time, but he's still been pretty decent as of late, so I don't mind the streamer. Ryan Strome has quieted down over his last couple of games, but he's still on that very, very electric hot line with McTavish and with Frank Vetrano. As long as those guys are still scoring, Strome definitely has a lot of upside still. Evan Rodriguez is playing on the top line with Barkov, but is no longer playing on that top power play. That lowers his value a little bit, but playing with Barkov always has a lot of upside. Marcus Foligno is playing on the third line right now with Eriksson Ek, as well as Patrick Maroon, and he's been performing pretty well as of late. He's hitting a lot, and he's actually putting up points as well. Adam Henrique is someone who I think is underrated every single year, is kind of switching between the top line and the third line. Either way, this dude is performing this year, and he definitely should be added for this weekend if none of the guys that I listed above him are available. Anton Lundell is centering the second line in Florida with Verhaeghe and Matthew Tkachuk. It's a great deployment with Bennett out, and he definitely has some value for this weekend as a streamer. Thomas Hertl of the San Jose Sharks. Obviously, the Sharks have been awful, but Hertl is their best player and definitely is the guy that you want to grab if you are going to stream someone from San Jose. Leo Carlsson and Trevor Zegras are Ducks that play on the top line. They both also play on the top power play, but neither of them has been all that great as of late. So not my favorite streamers, but definitely someone that could hit if you're lucky. Marcus Johansson's playing on the second line as well with Hartman and Zuccarello. Not a bad deployment for him because he also gets top power play time. Anthony Duclair is the next guy I would be grabbing from the San Jose Sharks. He's their next best player and did score a goal in that win over Philadelphia. And finally, Patrick Maroon is also playing on that third line in Minnesota with Eriksson Ek, as well as Marcus Foligno. Definitely not a bad place to be, and he's actually been producing this year, which is really nice to see. If you need someone that plays Saturday and Sunday, there are 4 teams that play both Saturday and Sunday: Columbus, Dallas, Montreal, and Vancouver. Number one guy I would be adding is Sean Monahan. The dude is just on a crazy point streak right now. He cannot seem to stop. He's been really, really good in Montreal. I watch a lot of Habs games. Monahan looks really, really good. Definitely a great streamer for this weekend. Boone Jenner, obviously, is someone that I love. He shoots the puck, he hits, he blocks a little bit, puts up points fairly frequently. He's pretty much as safe as it gets as for a streamer. Nick Suzuki, also a good ad right now, top line, top power play in Montreal. The deployment's there, and he's producing as of late. Ilya Mikheyev is obviously playing on the top line with Elias Pettersson. He's actually doing pretty well. He's almost a point per game. Definitely someone I don't mind streaming for this weekend. Wyatt Johnston and Matt Duchene. Duchene's playing on the third line right now with Marchment and Seguin. Those guys aren't really doing that much, but Duchene hasn't been too bad at it as of late. Wyatt Johnston is playing on the second line with Jamie Benn and Dadonov. That's a better deployment for him, and he's actually been producing a little bit more. Kirill Marchenko is the next guy I would go for. Has a really safe floor with the amount of shots that he shoots every single night. He's also getting second line time. Jack Roslovic is on the top line right now with Gaudreau and Jenner, so definitely not a bad streamer there as well. Then Dmitry Voronkov, and then a few spots below him, Adam Fantilli are also on that second line with Marchenko, and that's a decent deployment for them, and Voronkov has actually been producing more so than Adam Fantilli. Brendan Gallagher and Tanner Pearson on the second line in Montreal with Sean Monahan, and both have been having a surprisingly decent season so far. Decent streamers if you're desperate. Yuri Slavkovsky, the next guy that I would look at, is on the top line right now with Suzuki and Caulfield. Make sure he's still there when you go to pick him up, but if he is, definitely could have some sneaky value. If you're lucky, he may score a goal or two. And finally, Tyler Seguin, like I said, has not had a good year at all, but is playing on the third line with Duchesne and Marchment. So you could throw a dart at him if he's available. If you need defensemen for this weekend, the number one guy I would grab is Mike Matheson. He's a dude I've been repping all year. I still can't believe that he's not more than 63% rostered. He puts up peripherals. He puts up points. What more can you want from a defenseman in fantasy? Mackenzie Weegar's the next guy. Same kind of thing. He's putting up peripherals and he's been putting up points lately. He's actually also on the top power play now in Calgary. He's never been a guy who got a lot of power play time or any power play time at all, really. But this year, him and Rasmus Sanderson are actually both on that top power play. As of a few games ago, he's been there and he has been producing. So I like Mackenzie Weegar a lot. Pavel Mintyukov of the Anaheim Ducks, 55% rostered, has grown a lot in rostered percentage quite recently. He's been pretty good, so definitely like him for the peripherals, for the points. Caden Gooley's there mostly per the peripherals. He's been putting up blocks and hits and shots. Really, really good so far. Travis Sanheim has quieted down quite a bit, but definitely still holds a bunch of value being the Flyers' top power play guy. Owen Power has been putting up a lot of points as of late, but if those points dry up, he has almost no value given the fact that he puts up very little peripherals. But if you are specifically looking for points, Owen Power could definitely help you out in a pinch this weekend. Werenski and Provorov are both guys who are... Werenski's underperforming a little bit. Provorov might be overperforming a little bit, but they're both guys who could help you out this weekend for points and potentially for a little bit of peripherals. Oliver Ekman-Larsson is another guy who's getting top power play time in Florida. And that's why he's here as a streamer for this weekend. And finally, Carson Soucy, if you need someone who's a little bit lower roster than the other guys I mentioned on this list, he's been putting up quite a bit of peripherals and has also been putting up points. Vancouver's been scoring a lot, so as long as that keeps happening, Soucy could potentially keep getting assists. Quickly, if you want to stream a goalie, the number one guy I would go for is Lucas Dostal against the San Jose Sharks. It's also possible Gibson starts that game, so make sure you know who's going to be starting before you go ahead and pick up Dostal, but definitely a good streamer against the very bad Sharks. Then Casey Smith against the Habs is probably your next best bet because the Canucks have been really good. Scott Wedgwood against the Minnesota Wild, Fleury against the Dallas Stars, Peter Mrazek against the Florida Panthers, and then Sam Montembeault or Jake Allen against the Vancouver Canucks would be my next best bet. Then Merzlikins or Martin, whoever's starting there, against the Rangers. And then Blackwood or Kakinen would be my least favorite streamer against the Anaheim Ducks, just because San Jose is so bad. Now, before you grab any of these guys, make sure that either the other goalie started the night before or they are confirmed to be starting, because you don't want to waste a move and grabbing a guy who's not even going to start. Now, if you're in a categories league and you're pretty close in shots on goal and you want to make sure that you win that category, the number one guy to be adding is Owen Tippett, who shoots 3.3 times per game. So over the 2 games you get him for, you get you 6 or 7 shots. Marchenko also 3.3, Troy Terry 3.2, Weegar 3.1, Matheson 3.0, Atkinson 3.0, Nazem Kadri 3.0, Mikheyev 2.7, and if you need a low-owned option, Noah Gregor at 2.5 shots per game. If you need blocks, the number one guy is Caden Gooley, who's been blocking 3.6 times per game. Definitely scoop him up for this weekend. TJ Brody at 3.1, Ferraro 3.0, Yabushkin at 2.8, and then Giordano and Goodbranson at 2.7, and then finally Ivan Provorov at 2.5 blocks per game. If you need hits, Marcus Foligno is your number one guy at 3.4 hits per game, Delorier 3.3, Wilson 3.2, Pezzetta 3.0, then Clifton, Joshua, and Hathaway all 2.7, Arbor Jacki at 2.6, and Radko Gudas at 2.5. You need face-off wins. The number one guy, and it's not even close, it's Tomas Hertl. He's been winning 12.3 face-offs per game on average. So over 2 games, he should win you 24 to 25 face-offs, which would be an absolutely excellent ad. Boone Jenner 11.1, Jordan Staal 11.0, Sean Monahan 10.9, Couturier 10.3, Backlund 9.3, Dylan Strome 9.1, Nico Sturm 8.8, and then Nick Suzuki 7.5. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching all the way through. If you enjoyed the content today, please leave a like and hit that subscribe button. Would mean a lot to me. Thanks so much, guys, and I'll catch you in the next episode of Fantasy Tipped.